Good morning to all of you. Welcome to our class. Yesterday, we were discussing on the professional ethics, okay, the code of professional ethics, okay, the codes of ethics that we meant to follow as the professional accountants, okay, as the professional accountants. We were discussing, okay, the last thing we were discussing was on the fundamental principles as well as the threats to independence of the auditor, okay, threat to independence of the auditor. We did mention those fundamental principles as well as we did mention to the threats to the independence of the auditor. And generally, we notice that when it comes to the discussion on the independence of the auditor, okay, we see that we can assess the independence of the auditor use two levels, okay, using two levels, okay. We can assess of the two types of independence of the auditor, okay, which we said we have the independence of mind, okay, and have the independence of appearance, okay. We have the independence of mind and have the independence of appearance, okay. Now, the independence of mind is it is you as an auditor, okay, that you know that, okay, you can be able, okay, that there will be no chance that there will be biasness, okay, when you will be giving that final audit opinion, okay, when you will be giving your final report, when you will be the one who makes the judgment along the way, okay, there will be no biasness, okay, there will be no conflict of interest, okay, that might prevent you from achieving or from being able, okay, to give an independent, objective opinion at the end of the day, okay? It's the independence of mind, okay, that you're free from that potential biasness, okay? You're free from that conflict of interest. You're free from those potential threats, okay, that might make you not being able to issue, okay, not being able to issue an independent opinion, an objective opinion at the end of the exercise, okay? In the case of the independence of appearance, okay, now we say that this is going to be from a third party point of view, okay? If another person was to maybe see what you're doing, okay, was to observe how you carry out your work, okay, was to observe your interaction with the client, okay, can they deem you, okay, to be independent? Can they deem you that you're going to be objective when you will be issuing that final opinion? So it is from that part point of view, okay. If someone else, okay, was to, I don't know, if someone else, okay, was to go through your work, okay, if someone else was to observe you, okay, if someone else was to observe your interaction with the client, okay, can they deem you, okay, to be independent, okay? Independence of appearance is the outside, okay? How do you portray your work? How do you do your work, okay? Okay? Can they deem you to be objective? Can they deem you to be independent when you will be issuing that final audit opinion, okay? Those are the two levels of independence. Independence of mind, and you have the independence of appearance, okay? Now, going back to the principle of confidentiality, okay? Going back to the principle of confidentiality, going back to the principle of confidentiality, okay, we said it's not always going to be, or rather, as an auditor, don't forget, you're not meant to disclose any party or any information, okay, that you come across during your audit exercise, okay, to any other party, okay. You're not going to be disclosing, okay. You should not, in short, okay. You should not disclose information, okay, to that party, okay. You should not make other people to take advantage, okay, of that private information, okay. However, there are some instances, okay? There are some instances, okay, when the principle of confidentiality, okay, might be in quote suspended, okay? The principle of confidentiality might be suspended, okay? We mentioned a number of them. We did mention a number of situations where the principle of confidentiality, okay, might be suspended, okay? One of them was, if, for example, there's a court case, okay, there's a pending court case, okay, and the court is asking you, we would want you, okay, to make the presentation, okay, regarding maybe some client information, okay, the client has been sued, for example, okay, or there's some tax litigation, okay, against your client, okay, and the client is asking you must present, okay, you're going to be asked to present your position, okay, so at the end of the day, you may end up disclosing client information, okay. It is not that you're going against that principle, okay, okay, because here you're fulfilling an obligation, okay. Here there's a law that requires of you, not laws per se. Here there is a court proceeding that is requiring of you to produce some certain set of information, okay, to the court, okay. Also, if the laws of the country, okay, dictate that certain set of information, okay, must be disclosed, okay. For example, in case you come across money laundering situation, okay, then maybe the country might be come across such information, then you may to disclose it. Okay, in that case, therefore, it does not mean that you have gone against the provisions of the law. Okay, and you're gone against the code. Okay, but you are fulfilling the laws of the country. Okay, for example, in regard to the disclosure. For regard to the disclosure of client information, okay, there's a law that requires to disclose certain set of information about the client. In case you disclose, it doesn't mean that you're going against those provisions. Okay. Maybe in case, for example, you want to defend yourself maybe against, let's say, a proceeding against you in ISPAC, okay? Maybe in case of the ISPAC, okay, there's been some allegation against you, okay? Allegation against you filed to the ISPAC, okay? And you want to defend your position, then you can use the client information. For example, you can use your work papers, okay? You can use your work papers as your defense in this case, therefore, okay? Also, in case, for example, you have a scenario where ISPAC actually, okay, the ISPAC itself, okay, is one that requires you to disclose the information, okay. In case, for example, you have a case where the ISPAC, they normally do in court audits, okay. They do audit of the auditors, okay, to assess, for example, how they have been carrying out their work, okay. So all these things, it does not mean you're going to go against that principle of confidentiality. It does not mean you'll be going against the principle of confidentiality, okay. But you will be in line with the code, okay. You will be in line with the code, okay. So some cases, okay, you may have scenarios, okay, where the principle of confidentiality may not be applied, okay, the one you just, for example, just mentioned, okay. So get to know what are these provisions, okay, where the principle of confidentiality, okay, might be suspended, okay, in court, okay. Now, when it comes to marketing, okay, when it comes to marketing of your services, okay, we mentioned that you have to be quite careful, okay. When it comes to marketing of your services, you have to be quite careful, okay, that you don't give or you don't lie, okay, when it comes to marketing of what you can go to do. I can be able to do A, B, C, and D, okay. If you can't do C, don't say I can be able to perform survey C, okay. You need to state the true position, okay. I can only offer taxation, audit, I can't offer corporate finance services, okay. So you have to be really careful, okay, when it comes to marketing for your service, okay. It is when it comes to marketing of your services, okay, you can market as much as you want, okay. However, be careful, okay, but don't lie, okay, and that includes even your CV, okay, not just on the farm. Even you as an individual auditor, don't lie even in your CV, okay. If you've not completed CPA, don't say I've done CPA, okay. If you're not completed, don't forget you need to say the correct position, okay. At the same time, don't make what we call disparaging references to someone else's work, okay? Disparaging references to someone else's work, okay? So as you want to, the audit we say is a personal service, okay? It's a personal service, okay? So you can't say that I am a better auditor, okay? I am a better tax consultant compared to person B, okay? So don't make what we call disparaging references, okay, to someone else's work, okay? As you market yourself, okay? In short, don't try to put someone down so as you market yourself, okay? It does not make sense in that context, therefore, okay? Towards gifts, okay, make sure that as an auditor, you can receive gifts from the client, okay, it is not a problem. However, be careful, okay, on what will be the effect, okay, of I receiving these gifts from the client, okay. Are they going to taint my independence? Am I going to be objective, okay, when I will be giving opinion? If that party become aware of these gifts I received from my client, okay, well, how will they deem me? Okay, are they going to see me as an independent person, as an objective person? Okay, if that party becomes aware of these gifts I received from the client, okay. So the gifts and hospitality from the client, okay, they are acceptable. However, be careful. What is the potential impact they may end up having on your independence, okay? So be careful as you receive gifts from the client, okay? In case you're an employee, don't forget you're meant to report these gifts you have received from the client, okay, to your employer, okay? In case you're an employee of PwC, okay, and one of the clients you're auditing gives you a gift, okay, don't forget you're meant to disclose those gifts, okay? Is upon the engagement partner, okay, to make a decision as whether it might have an impact on your objective, okay, not you to make that judgment, okay. What else? We say that also as an auditor, don't forget you can also provide other services, okay, to the client, not just auditing. There are many other services you can offer, okay, to the client, okay. But conventionally, of course, you do offer the audit services, okay, but there are more than that, okay. What we refer to as management services, okay, that an audit firm can offer, okay, over and above the audit. There are other management services that you can offer as an auditor, okay. One of them, for example, you can offer tax consultants services, okay, taxation services, okay. You can also be offered, you are the one who is going to provide the client with maybe the advice, okay, on how maybe they can manage the affair, okay, to reduce the tax bill, okay. It's not tax avoidance, okay? It's not that they're going to be avoiding tax, okay? But it's more towards reduction of tax, okay? So you can offer that service. You can offer that service as an auditor. Don't forget you are an accountant, okay? First place, okay? And by the mere fact you are an accountant, that means therefore you can offer accounting services, okay? You can also offer accounting services to the client, okay? Preparing their books, okay? You can also be used in bookkeeping of the client accounts, okay? So you can go with bookkeeping, okay? Preparing the accounts of the company, okay? They can also offer corporate finance services, okay? You have done finance, okay? You will be doing more finance along the way, okay? So also the client can ask you, okay, we want to perform some due diligence, okay? Now from the finance angle of it, okay, you can be asked to become therefore a consultant. We are asked to provide or corporate finance services, okay, to perform, for example, due diligence, to perform due diligence of the firm that the company wants to acquire, okay, from a finance angle, okay. You can also be asked to look valuation, okay? Also be involved in business valuation, okay? How to value businesses, okay? I think you must have done in financial management in section 3, okay? On how to value companies, on how to value financial securities, okay? So all these some of the work you can do, okay? You as the auditor, okay? You as the accountant, okay? So they are called management services, okay? The client can also ask you, okay, to assist them in recruitment, okay? They want to recruit a CEO, they want to recruit a CFO, okay? So they can ask you, we're going to use your expertise, you're going to use your network, okay, to tap into some of the potential, okay, persons, some of the potential candidates for this particular position, okay? So they can ask you to be involved in the recruitment of their senior management, okay? Don't forget, all these are referred to as management services, okay? They refer to as the management services, okay? Okay, I think that was more towards the code of ethics, okay? Unless you have a question, okay? I guess can go to the next topic, okay? So any question on the code of ethics? Okay, that was on the code of ethics for professional accountants. Next, if I remember, okay, I think next was on the client, as you mentioned, okay, is the one who conventionally, okay, is going to approach you, okay, and ask you to provide them with services, okay, to ask you to ask them to provide with services, okay. So you don't conventionally, you are not the one who's going to be approaching the client to ask for work, okay, in court, okay. The client is one who's going to be asking, we would want to have our account audited for the next one financial year, okay. So come and audit our books, okay. So it is going to be the client come to you, okay, and not vice versa. Okay, we know sometimes you can have that happening, okay. But essentially, you have to be careful that you do not have a scenario, okay, where you charge, because as you're trying to attract clients, okay, you want to submit a very low bid, okay. Now, actually, what we refer to that as situation where, as an auditor, you do submit a very low bid, okay, or the fee you're going to charge the client is too low to an extent that you may not be able to provide quality services to the client. What do you call that situation? You submit a bid, okay, all of that, the fee you'll be receiving, okay, for example, it'll be, let's say, 1 million. The total expense you'll be incurring, okay, in providing this service is, let's say, 1.5 million. So does it make sense, okay? Or the fee you're going to be quoting, okay, is too low to an extent that, okay, you cannot be able to provide quality service to your client, okay? Now, what do we call that situation? I think you have discussed this in the past. Yes, Kami.
I had a question.
You had a question. Do you have the answer to my question?
I don't remember.
Okay. I'll ask the question.
Yes?
You had a question. You had a question.
Yeah, I wanted you to differentiate between assertion assurance and direct reporting assurance.
Oh, what we refer to as there?
The differentiate between
Between
assertion-based assurance engagement and direct reporting assurance engagement.
and the direct reporting engagement.
Yeah.
Okay. I will differentiate. Uh, Give me a minute. Get an answer from Emma. Emma,
It's lowballing.
don't forget this is referred to as globally. Okay, this is referred to as globally. Okay, a situation where the fee that you do submit, okay, is going to be too low. Okay, to an extent that you may not be able to guarantee. You may not be able to guarantee a quality service from quality services to your client. Okay, and it does not mean that okay, it boils down to you as an auditor. Okay, it boils down to you as an auditor. Okay, to know am I could I be involved in lowballing situation? Okay, most you're the one who know how much expense you've been carrying to provide this particular service. You're the one who know what are my intention. Is it to get a client, or is it for me to be able to provide a good service to the client? Okay, so most of the time, okay, it will be it is upon you as an auditor. Okay, it is upon you as an auditor. Okay, to make that assessment. Okay, can I be able to provide good quality service to my client? Okay, that for it was as a low body. Okay, so these terms, okay, the examiner, as I mentioned, your exam is going to be what referred to as objective based question. These objective based question. Okay, so they're going to be asking, define this, highlight this. Okay, write down, highlight the indicators of company that might be not be in a going concern situation. Okay, so that's how your exam is going to be like. Okay, that's how your exam is going to be like. Okay, so you should be able to know, define what are the definition of the some of these terms. Okay, what are the definition of some of these terms. Okay, okay, that's on the case of low body. Okay. Now, coming, you asking what could be the difference, okay, between the attestation engagement, okay, and the case of the direct reporting engagement, okay. Now, as I mentioned, okay, these are two type of review engagement, okay. Now, in the case of attestation engagement, okay, as I mentioned yesterday, okay, now this is where the client, okay, let me put that. The person who's going to be appointing you, okay, he is the one who is going to be in court, okay, dictating, okay, what you're meant to do. Like, for example, in the case of, well, the best term, in the case of, let's say, try to for an example, okay, of an attestation engagement, okay. I'm trying to for a good example of attestation engagement.
I was actually asking about assertion-based assurance engagement.
Or assurance-based assertion engagement.
Yeah, and direct reporting assurance engagement.
No,
She taught
actually,
under.
no, actually, the system just brought it. Okay. Now, attestation-based engagement is the same as assertion-based engagement. I don't think there's any difference between the two of them. Okay. Attestation engagement and sort of assertion-based engagement. Okay. Now, here is that whatever you're going to be the work you're going to be doing as an auditor, okay, is going to be the criteria. Let me use the term, the criteria, okay, that you're going to be using. The criteria you're going to be using, okay, is going to be dictated by, for example, the person appointing you. We would want you, okay, as our maybe in quote our auditor, okay, you as a practitioner, okay, to carry out maybe or to assess how our inventory count is being done, okay. So as per se, the targets in quote or what you're going to be assessing is going to be dictated. Okay, it is the client who is going to be, for example, be dictating what we shall be doing. Okay, it's sort of an assertion that you're going to be testing. Okay, that we want to assess. Okay, are our inventory, for example, complete? Okay, are our inventory maybe there'll be a fraud that might be occurring here. Is our inventory balances accurate? Okay, so it's like you're going to be the work you're going to be doing. Okay, is going to be based on an assertion. The work you're going to be doing is going to be based on what the client wants, the mandate, okay, or your objective. Your mandate is going to be dictated by the client. Okay, actually, I think there's no difference between the assertion-based engagement and attestation because you're going to, in attestation, you are attesting to an assertion, okay, that is going to be presented to you by the client. I don't think there's any difference between, okay. The attestation engagement and assertion-based engagement, they are, I think, one the same thing for sure. Okay. Now, in the case of the direct reporting engagement, okay, in the case of the direct reporting engagement, okay, Conventionally, okay, if you remember when we're discussing on the assurance engagement, okay, one of the key criteria was on the three-party, okay, referred to as the tri-party relationship, okay, three-party, the practitioner, we have the responsible party, as well as we have the user, okay. Now, in the case of the direct reporting engagement, okay, conventionally, you're going to be having two parties. You're going to be having two parties, okay. Conventionally, you're going to be having two parties, okay. The person appointing you and you as a practitioner, okay. So conventionally, we do not have, no, actually, the user, okay, most of the time, okay, the user and the responsible party are one and the same person, okay. In the case of the direct reporting engagement, the user and the responsible party, the one who prepared, the user and the preparer are one and the same, okay. Don't forget in the case of in the case of assurance engagement, we say that they are three party. We have the user is different from responsible party, is different from the practitioner. Okay, all these three are three parties different from each other. In the case of the direct reporting engagement, okay, the user and the responsible party are one and the same person. Okay, and you're going to be the second person. In this case, you are the practitioner. Okay, that is going to be one of the key features of the case of the direct reporting engagement. Okay, the direct reporting engagement. Okay, for example, one of the key example could be on the internal control actually. Okay, assessment of how effective is the internal control of the company. Now, who is going to appoint you? It is going to be the management. Okay, don't forget, the shareholder will not appoint you the shareholder may not appoint you, okay, to ask you, assess how our internal controls are. Okay, that will not be, it will not be the case. The shareholder will never appoint you to do that. Okay, so if, for example, you're going to be appointed by the management, assess how our internal control systems are working. Okay, how effective is our internal control? That is going to be, the appointment is going to be done by the management. And who is in charge of the internal control? It is the management also. Okay, so you can see this is going to call a direct reporting engagement. We appoint you, but don't forget you're going to also be reporting to us. Okay, that's a key example of the case of the direct reporting engagement. Okay, conventionally, as I mentioned, that the party who is going to be the preparer of the subject matter, is also going to be the user of the report that you're going to be, at the end of the day, you are the one who's going to be, you'll be reporting, in short, you'll be reporting to the person who was in charge of preparing the subject matter. Okay? I hope that's clear, Kami, on the two distinction.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. So that was on the code, more or less. Okay, consider that was on code. Now, the next thing is that we discuss that at the end of the day, okay, when it comes to appointment, okay, you make sure that you're going to be conventional, okay, that you're going to, in quote, wait for the client to approach you, okay, and then you can say yes or no, okay, after course reviewing, am I legally qualified, okay, do I the professional, am I in compliance with the code of ethics, okay, do I have enough resources, okay. Now you want to make that assessment, okay. I think this was a question of the mock that I asked you, okay. I says, what are the legal qualifications? Are you legally qualified to act as an auditor? Assess whether you're professional. Are you in compliance with the code of ethics for professional accountants, as well as in terms of the resources? Okay, so I think this was a part of your mock question. Okay. Now, in the case of once assume that, for example, okay, that you do agree, okay, you have made this assessment, okay, and you think that this is a good client, okay, I don't have any reasons why maybe I can decline them, okay, I've communicated with the outgoing auditor, okay, they have no reservation as to why I should not accept this engagement, okay. So now next is to prepare what referred to as the engagement letter, okay. So next is preparing what referred to as the engagement letter. But before you actually prepare the engagement letter, okay, if you may want to consider, okay, you may, in terms of the ethics, and this seems to be okay, you may want to consider, do we have what called the precondition of audit, okay? Does the precondition of an audit exist in this context? Does the precondition of an audit exist, okay? Now, what are preconditions? Things that must be there. Before you accept these, it's more or less like, it's a must, okay, for them to be there. Before you can accept engagement, this condition must exist, okay, before accepting the engagement. Before you agree, yes, I want to be audited, okay, we'll call the preconditions of an audit, okay. I think you mentioned a number of them, okay. One of them was on the framework, okay. So you need to consider, okay, are the accounts of this firm, are the accounts of this company, I want to audit the accounts, okay? Do they prepare the accounts using an applicable, okay, an acceptable financial reporting framework? Is a framework they're using acceptable? Okay, that's one of the key major precondition audits. Is the framework they're using to prepare the accounts, okay, is it acceptable? Okay. Next, you have to consider, for example, do the management, okay, know what their work, okay? Do the management understand their work, okay? Do they know their responsibility, okay? Of course, towards they're the one who prepare the accounts of the company. They're the one in charge of ensuring an effective internal control system. Do they understand their responsibility, okay? That need to be there. You need to get understanding as to whether the accounts, the management do understand what they are responsible. If you can see, okay, you can sense, okay, there seem to be no idea, they seem not to know, okay, what is their responsibility, then you may want to decline. If the precondition of an audit are not there, don't forget, you should not accept being engaged as the auditor of that particular firm, okay? Assume that the preconditions are there, okay? Then of course now is the time to prepare the engagement letter, okay? Don't forget, in the engagement letter, you are the one who prepares the auditor, okay? You prepare, then you address this letter, okay, to the client. You are the one who prepares this letter, okay? This letter, okay? And what are the key things, okay, that you're going to put down in the engagement letter, okay? Of course, it may be an extension of those preconditions, okay? The 5 key things, okay, that you mentioned in the engagement letter must be. What are the 5 key things that must be there on the engagement? There are many things, by the way, but essentially, you notice that there are 5 key things that must exist, okay, on the engagement letter. What are these? Ashley.
The objective and scope of the audit.
Of course, the scope of the audit, okay, that's the first thing, okay, what is the scope of the audit, okay, and get to have a clear understanding, okay, not just you as an auditor, but also the client, okay, that the client need to understand what is my scope of the audit. Next. Ashley. Ashley, you went away. Yes, Karen.
The auditor's responsibility.
Of course, the auditor's responsibility. You need to understand this is my. You need to inform the client. Okay, this is my responsibility. Next.
Management's responsibility.
They need to understand what is your responsibility as a management. Okay. Next. Karen. Yes, back. Sorry?
The remuneration.
The remuneration, it is one of the content of the engagement letter, okay? It is, I agree that it is one of the content, okay? But not among those 5. But anyway, it is one of the content of the engagement letter, okay? It's one of the content of the engagement letter, okay? But there's something else that you mentioned. Emma, one of those 5 things. So one is the scope, the responsibility of the and the management. 4.
The financial reporting framework.
The financial reporting framework. And lastly,
the form and content of the auditor's report.
The form and the content of any issue. Yes, the form and the content of any communication that might be there between the client and the auditor. Okay, any communication. What will be the form and the content of those reports that can be prepared from either side? Okay, either by the auditor to the management, or from the management to the auditor. Okay. We mentioned other things, okay? For example, remuneration of the auditor, okay? Communication, if there's any engagement, this auditor has been involved in, okay? So all these things, okay? Simply don't forget, when it comes to the engagement letter, okay? You want just to have the terms and condition in code, okay? In writing, okay? You want to have them in writing, okay? They cannot be oral. You want to have the terms and condition to be in writing. Okay, the terms and condition to be in writing. Okay. Okay, so that was on I think the engagement letter, okay? I don't think there's anything else to talk about in the engagement letter. Don't forget this letter, you're the one who do prepare, okay? You're the one who prepare the engagement letter, okay? You prepare your address risk management, and of course they're meant to sign off at the end of the day, okay? That they do agree with the terms and conditions that you have stated, okay? So come asking, are we still on the code of ethics? Engagement letter, is it part of the code of ethics? No, it is not part of the code of ethics, okay, as per se, because it's a different item altogether, okay? It's a different item altogether, but it's still part and parcel of that introductory bit of it. What's the next thing? The next thing was on audit planning. That was next topic on the audit planning and risk assessment. Let me check what was our next topic. Give me a second. I don't have my notes with me, so I don't have the notes with me now. What was the next topic? Because I don't have my notes with me. What was the next topic? Corporate governance was the next topic. Okay, corporate governance. Now, corporate governance, don't forget the company is owned by shareholders. Okay, however, shareholders most of the time, okay, they may not be present in managing their company. So of course they do appoint managers, okay, who will oversee, okay, how the company is run. Okay, so they are the one who going to be the oversight authority, okay, on how the company is going to be. Okay, so for the shareholder, therefore they do appoint agents. So they do appoint agents. Okay, in this case, therefore, they do this through the board of directors. Okay, so the board of directors themselves. They ought to act as stewards, okay, of the company, okay. Of course, bearing in mind that the person they are responsible to be reporting to the shareholders at the end of the day, okay, or the stewards. But you mentioned one of the key elements of corporate governance, okay, of our concern is the audit committee, okay, or is the audit committee, okay. And of course, the audit committee is a subcommittee, okay, of the board of directors, okay. And of course, we say if possible, the members of this committee, they're going to be 3 or 4, okay, maximum 4, okay. So they should be, okay, people who do understand people who do understand audit environment, okay. So if possible, they should be all accountants. They should be all have some experience, okay, on auditing matters, okay. And of course, we did say that one of some of their key functions they do play within the agency, okay, is on, for example, they are the one, okay, who of course are going to appoint the external auditor, okay. Of course, they do this as a recommendation, okay. So they're going to, therefore, to make a recommendation to the entire board, okay, that we as the audit committee, we think that this is going to be a better auditor for our company the coming year. Okay, so generally they are the one who get in charge, for example, of making the recommendation to the board as to who they think can become the auditor. Okay, of course, over and above that, okay, of course, they are also the one who should, okay, make an assessment of the independence of this external auditor. Okay, they are the one who going to therefore also make that decision. Okay. This external auditor we want to hire, okay, to have as our external auditor for the next one financial year, okay. What's the extent of his independence, okay? So they are the ones who are meant to make that evaluation as the audit committee, okay. Of course, they're also the one who are going to also ensure that the internal audit function, okay, that the internal audit function is in quotes performing effectively, okay, or that means therefore they should have a say, okay, when it comes to example. Not always, but if possible, they should have a say as to the appointment also of the internal auditor. Okay, so because we say that one of the ways that the audit committee can, in quotes, guarantee or protect the independence in quotes, okay, of this internal auditor, okay, is by asking auditor, okay, to be the one to report, okay. So the internal auditor is the one who's meant to be reporting, okay, to the audit committee, okay. The internal auditor ought to be what we call a dual reporting structure, okay, to in quote guarantee, okay, to protect the independence of this internal auditor, okay. Now, all this is going to be done by the audit committee, okay, all the way from the appointment of the internal auditor to the internal auditor, okay. They should have a say, okay, on all that process, okay. As well as, don't forget, as you mentioned, these are experts in accounting, in quote, the expert in accounting. Therefore, they act as advisors to the board, okay, in relation towards the accounting matters, okay. They act as the advisors to the board in relation to towards the accounting matter, okay, including, okay, if the board is meant to make an announcement, okay, something concerning finance matter, something concerning accounting matter, okay, then of course the board, this called committee, okay, is one that ought to give the advice, okay, therefore to the entire board, okay. If there's some things that, if the board is meant to make an announcement, okay, maybe even when company is about to make an announcement of their financial year results, okay, of course the comment we made by the board, okay, ought to come through, to come out of the audit committee. As you mentioned, okay, these are going to be the experts in terms of the accounting matters for the sake of the board, okay. What you mentioned, don't forget, it's not a must for a company to have the committee, this committee, okay. It's not a must, okay, but it's a good sign, okay, that the company is attempting to adhere to the good corporate governance principles, okay. So it's a good idea to have it, okay, but not a must, okay. And there's no law that says it's a must for you to have this committee, but it's a good idea to have it, okay. Of course, that's one of the key disadvantages of having this particular committee, okay, could be on the expense side of it, okay. Don't forget, these are board members, okay. They don't come, they don't sit on the board for free. They don't come sit for in the committee for free. You would have to pay them, okay. You do need to pay them at the end of the day, okay. And of course, to be able to get the members who are good members, okay, who can constitute this committee, okay, it's not so easy, okay. To get good members who can be effective persons to be able to fill up those positions, okay. Don't forget, generally, okay, you cannot be a board member for more than 3 companies, okay. That implies, therefore, you may be a good accountant, you may be a good auditor, you may have good experience, okay. However, don't forget, your resource in that from that angle is restricted to only 3 companies, okay. Anyway, that is more towards the audit committee, unless you have a question, okay. Unless you have a question. Now, the idea is that they should be involved, okay. They should have their hands dirty, okay, when it comes to the appointment of the internal as well as the case of the external. For the internal, not a must, but for the external, it is a must, okay. It is their responsibility, okay? Even designing, okay, or even maybe designing the fee, okay, that the auditor need to be paid, okay. They're the one going to be ultimately responsible for this part, okay. Question on the audit committee. Okay, so that was on the audit committee. Okay, any other question? Okay, no question. What was the next topic after corporate governance? The topic after that. Okay, there was internal audit function. Okay, internal audit function. In the case of the internal audit function, don't forget to say that these are going to be the person, okay, or the internal auditor or audit department. They are the one who are going to be referred to as they do monitor, okay. They are the monitoring, okay. They are the one who are going to be involved in monitoring the effectiveness, okay, of the company internal control system, okay. They are the monitoring and the appraisal system, okay, of activities, okay, that assesses whether the company IC's internal control system is working effectively, okay. So they want to make that assessment, okay. What's the extent of the effectiveness, okay, of the ICS, the internal control system of this particular company, okay. Was just mentioned, okay, when it comes to the appointment of the internal auditor, okay, don't forget this is going to be the mandate of the day-to-day management, okay. they are the one who going to, the internal auditor is an employee. So when it comes to the appointment, okay, of course, it is the management who are going to be involved in the appointment of this internal auditor, okay? So they are the one who are going to be involved in the appointment of this internal auditor, okay? However, we say it's worth enough for the audit committee to have a say, okay, to have a say when it comes to the appointment, okay. So then they may not overrule the management, but they should maybe give advice to the management, okay, when it comes to the appointment of this particular person, okay. And it's that comparing between the internal and the external audit, okay, we say that actually that you as the external auditor, you may act as the internal auditor, okay? You may act as the internal auditor of the firm. However, you have to be quite careful, okay, that you do not jeopardize your independence, okay, jeopardize your objectivity, okay? If you accept the appointment, okay, as the internal auditor, okay? One of the ways that you can put as a safeguard, okay, to protect the independence is having two different teams, okay, working as the one for the internal audit function and the other team working as the external audit function, okay. And we made a fair comparison of the internal and the external audit, okay. And in the case of the internal audit, is that when it comes, for example, the appointment, when it comes to the qualification, okay, one of the key was difference on the qualification. We said when it comes to the internal audit function, the qualification bit of it, there's no any law that says that you must have done this for you to become an internal auditor. Okay, I think I mentioned that even engineers, okay, even case of economists, you can become an accountant. You can become an internal auditor. Okay, so not necessarily that you must have done accounting. No, okay. However, for you to be an external auditor, you must have done CPA. I think you mentioned those bit of qualifications as contained in the Accountants Act. Okay, so it's not a must, okay, to have any professional qualification, okay, for you to become an internal auditor, okay. We mentioned the key distinction was on the audit methodology, okay. We said in case of the internal audit, okay, don't forget to follow what we call the procedural-based audit approach, okay, procedural audit-based approach, okay. What does that mean? It's more or less like in quotes, okay, the assertion-based in quotes, okay. That here how you're going to be reporting, okay, how you're going to do your work is going to be dictated by someone else. In this case, it is a management, okay. You are an employee, okay. Therefore, you're going to be in quote following procedures, following the company's policies, in short, okay. When it comes to the case of the external auditor, okay, the external audit, the methodology we have to use is what referred to as a risk-based approach system, okay, risk-based approach system, okay. I think I did us in the exam, and most of you didn't get it. I was quite surprised. Anyway, so in the case of the risk-based approach system, okay, don't forget here the procedure you're going to be using, okay, the substantive procedure you're going to be using, okay, when it comes to gathering of the audit evidence is going to be guided by the result of the client risk assessment you're going to be doing. Okay, if you deem this client to be of high risk, okay, of course, that imply more procedures. Okay, if the chance of the misstatement, if the client has a low risk of misstatements, then of course what you carry out lower, okay, or you call what referred to as restrictive substantive audit procedure. Okay, that's what we mean by a risk-based audit approach system. Okay, that the procedure you're going to carry out, okay, is going to be dictated by the result of the client risk assessment, which you're going to carry out as an auditor. Okay. Now, the key distinction was on who really do you report to, okay, who was not reporting. I think we mentioned in the case of the internal auditor, don't forget you report to the management. Okay, of course, you can also report to the audit committee if this company has a dual reporting structure, okay. When it comes to you as the external auditor, okay, of course, you do report to the appointing party, okay. Conventionally, you report to the members of the company, you report to the shareholders of the company, okay. Okay, those are some of the key distinctions that we made between the internal audit and the external audit. But it says that conventionally, the audit you shall be doing, okay, there's a number of assignments you can carry out, okay, but conventionally, one of them you can carry is called one of the activity, okay, or one of the service you can offer, okay, is what referred to as the value for money audit, okay, the value for money audit, okay, and we mentioned that the key objectives, okay, under the value for money audit are three, and these are the key objectives of value for money audit are three, and these are, let me check on somebody, Petronila, Yes, Padonira. In the case of value for money audit that can be done by the internal auditor, there are three objectives they want to achieve, which are
efficiency,
efficiency,
effectiveness,
and
I think economy of operations. I'm not sure.
You have economy. Okay, look, these are three objectives that the internal auditor you want to achieve when carrying out the value for money audits. Okay, which I think we discussed also in the case of public sector auditing. I hope you still remember. Okay, in the public on the performance audit. In the performance audit, if I remember, that was one of them. Okay, that the three objectives you want to achieve, you as the auditor general. Okay, in the case of audit of public sector, those are three E's also. Okay, the economy, efficiency, as well as on the effectiveness. Okay, those three E's. Okay, and I think that was on the internal audit as a function. Anything else I might have missed? I don't know. Unless you have a question on that particular area. What else can do? Anything else on that area? Because I don't see anything else I can mention on the internal audit. Or a question? Because we discussed on the bit concerning the qualification, no qualification that is required when it comes to being the internal auditor. When it comes to the key distinction between the internal and the external audit, some of the work you can do as internal auditor. Okay, we have VFM, we have IT audit. Okay, we have procurement audit. Okay, some cases you can also do the procurement audit. Okay, some cases not always the case, but you can also be involved in the procurement audit. But don't forget, as I mentioned, okay, the approach you're following here is what referred to as the procedural based audit. Procedural based audit. Okay, so it is a manual again, for example, be dictating what activity they want you to perform at a point in time. Okay, for the procedural based audit. Okay. I don't think there's anything else I can mention regarding the internal audit. Okay, unless there's something else you want me to mention on the internal audit. Question on that area? Okay, so no question. What was therefore our next topic after this? If there's no question, then go to the next topic, which was on okay, so are we in the same class? You're too quiet. Okay, so the next class was on risk assessment. Okay, so the next class was on risk assessment. Okay, risk assessment, and I think as we have just mentioned, okay, as we've just mentioned, this is an external audit. It implies therefore the procedure you're meant to use. Okay, the procedure you're meant to use, or well, what's the procedure? The methodology you're meant to use is the so-called the audit risk approach, the risk-based audit approach. Okay, risk-based audit approach. Okay, and we can take a break. Okay, and we begin out of the break on the client risk assessment. Okay, yeah, I guess we can take a break and then we come back. Okay, now it's 9:15. So Emma.
Yes.
It's now 9:15. We come back at what time?
9:30.
9:30. Okay, fair enough. Then commit at 9:30. We take on the risk assessment on client risk assessment. Okay, so let's take a break. My apologies. So welcome back. Now on risk assessment, the first bit is understanding the client and its environment. Okay, understanding the client and its environment. That's the first step when it comes to the assessment of the client risk. Okay, understanding the entity and its environment, and assessing the risk of material misstatement. Okay, as contained in ISA 315. Okay. By the way, as I normally mention these ISAs along the way, I normally mention them so that you guys can, okay, in your free time, okay, in case you want extra explanations, you can go to these ISAs. Okay, the ISA do provide quite a rich notes for you. Okay, so I mention them so that you can go through those ISAs again. Okay, anyway. So the first bit, okay, when it comes to the client risk assessment, okay, as I mentioned, is understanding the client, the entity, and its environment. Okay. Now, how do you understand? Okay, how do you understand the client? Okay, the number of the information, okay, or the source of the information that you can use in order to have a good grasp of the entity. Okay, they're quite diverse. Okay. So one of them, okay, could be trying to code this. So first thing is to understand, okay, what information source can I use in order to understand the client I want to audit. Okay, if for example you have been the auditor of this company before the current year audit, that implies therefore you can use your past knowledge. Okay, you can use your prior audit knowledge. Okay, to grasp or to have an understanding of the client in the current year audit. Okay. So we can use the previous connection, okay, in case that you are the internal auditor, in case you are you did provide to this particular client some management services, okay. So you can use them, okay, as a source of the information, okay. You can also have inquiry, okay, because as game inquiry can also be quite good, okay. Inquiry from, for example, those child governance, inquiry from the employees of the company, inquiry from the internal auditor of the company, so inquiry from the outgoing auditor. So inquiry can be one of the best sources of information that you can use in order to understand the client. Okay, so using the previous connection, okay, we just take note. Okay, you can use your prior prior client. Okay, prior clients audit you may have performed, okay, or other management services, you may have offered to this client, okay. You can also have inquiry, okay. So inquiries, okay, this can be from those child governance, okay, from those child with governance, okay. You can also have inquiry from the employees of the company. You can also have inquiry from the internal auditor. Okay, so all these are or can be source of information, can be some of the procedure. Let me use it as procedures. Okay, you can use in order to garner information, in order to get information from the client. Okay, you can also use what we call observation. Okay, inspection and observation. Okay. Okay, that's the best time to use inspection and observation. Okay, these are some of the procedures you can use in order to understand the client: inspection and observation. Inspection and observation. Okay, so all these are some of the source of information that you can use. It's not source of information, it's procedures you can use in order to get those information. Okay, now what are the information sources? Okay, what are the information sources? Okay, they can be quite diverse. Okay, information sources. Okay, one of them internal auditor. Okay, internal auditor from internal auditors of the company. Okay, having at least understanding of the laws and regulations this company is meant to follow. Okay, this can also be a source of information. The laws and regulations the company is meant to be in adherence with. Okay, what else can be another source of information can you use? Okay, it's maybe understanding of the industry the client is, and it's understanding the industry, and of course the risks that comes with that industry. Okay, what else can be source of information can you use? The accounting policy and principles the company following. Okay, the accounting policies. Okay, the company is following. Okay. The laws and regulation of the industry. I think this comes with the industry as well as the regulations that governs it. Okay, as well as the regulations that governs the industry. Understanding, of course, the competition level of that industry. Okay, this can be part of here. Move it here under the industry. Okay, you can also understand, for example, the level of competition in that particular industry. Understanding, for example, who are the financiers. Okay, understanding who are the financiers of this particular company. Okay, for example, the loans this company has taken, could they be approaching maturity? Okay, and can this company be able to continue financing? Okay, itself. Okay, so all this can be a source of information that you can use in order to understand, to have a good grasp of the client. Okay, of course, actually, even here I forgot here. You can also use the use of the analytical procedures, the use of the substantive analytical procedures. Okay, this can also be a procedure you can use in understanding the client, the use of the substantive analytical procedure. Okay, so of course, don't forget the key objective. Okay, why do you need to understand the client? Why do you need to understand the entity and the environment in which the client, in which the entity, okay, is operating in? To quantify the risk of material misstatement. Okay, don't forget you are doing all this, okay, to quantify the risk of material misstatement. Okay, what the chance that the financial statement, what the risk that the financial statement of this for your company, okay, could be materially misstated. Okay, that's what you want. That's the key objective. Okay. Of doing or of understanding, okay, this client or your client and the environment in which this client is working under. Okay, that's the key objective. Okay, that's the key objective. Okay, to be able to quantify, okay, that risk of material misstatement, to quantify the risk of material misstatement. Okay, and then that brings us to the concept. Okay, okay, another source of information you can use. Okay, internal auditor. It's of course could be more towards understanding can be from the company internal control system. Company internal control system. The ICS. Okay, that can also be another good source of information you can use to quantify, okay, the risk of material misstatement of this particular, the chance of having a risk of material misstatement in this company. We shall come back to this later on in some other topic as we go along the way. Okay. Now, the next bit we may want to discuss is what is the misstatement? Okay, what are misstatement? Okay, what are misstatement? Okay, as per ISA 240. Okay, we may want now to go to ISA 240. Okay, now the misstatement. Okay, these are going to be maybe misrepresentations. Okay, that might occur. Okay, misrepresentations that might occur either on the disclosures. Okay. Either on the disclosures, on the P&L, on the balance sheet, on the changes in equity, on cash flows. Okay, that can either be caused by what we refer to as because by either fraud or error. Okay, they may be caused by either fraud or error. Okay, sorry. Okay, so then be caused by either fraud or error. Okay. Now, what's the key distinction, okay, or the key distinction as per the ISA 240? What's the key distinction, okay, between fraud and error, okay? Now, we go down to what we call the intention, okay? There is a misrepresentation, okay, that exists, or this misstatement that exists on this financial statement, okay? The person behind it, the perpetrator, okay, behind it, did they do it intentionally? Okay, was it intentional? Okay, was it meant to deceive the users? Okay, if it was meant to deceive the user, if the intention, okay, it was knowingly done. Okay, the person, the perpetrator, did it knowingly. Okay, with the intention of deceiving the users, with the intention of obtaining unfair advantage over some other party, then that is what referred to as fraud. Okay, that's referred to as fraud. Okay. So this is ISA 240, okay, I'm referring to, okay. The misstatements, okay. Okay, we say the one can be of fraud, okay, and half will either can also be caused by an error. Okay, as mentioned, what is giving the key distinction between these two is more towards what was the intention of the perpetrator. Was it intentionally done? If it was intentional, okay, if it was intentional, then we refer to this as fraud. Okay, if the person who was behind this particular misstatement intentionally did it, okay, did it knowingly with the intention of deceiving, with the intention of obtaining unfair advantage over some other party, then that is what referred to as fraud. Okay, that's referred to as fraud. If it was unintentional, okay, if it was unintentional, then we refer to it as error. Then refer to it as error. Okay, if it was unintentional, then we refer to it as an error. Okay, the key difference between fraud and error. Now, what's the difference? How do you know whether this was fraud or this was an error? Okay, it's quite hard for you. It's quite hard for you as a monitor to tell whether a misstatement, okay, was either fraud or was it an error. It's quite hard to tell the difference because the intention, you can't maybe know exactly what was the intention. Can you tell what is, you can't boil down to the mind of the perpetrator, okay? But either way, the two are misstatement. Of course, we do require you as monitor to take into account, okay? To take into account when, of course, going through the financial statement of this company, okay? Let me just try to see if I can define. On ISA 240, that means we can go to define what they do say about fraud. I don't know whether they have made a formal definition of it. Just try to see whether there's a formal definition, formal in quote, okay, of fraud. Okay, there's no formal definition, but just to make a mention here, okay. Misstatement in the financial statement can arise from fraud or error. Okay, the distinction factor between fraud and error is whether the headline action that results in the misstatement of the financial statement is intentional or unintentional. Okay, the distinct factor, okay, between fraud and error is whether the headline action that results in the misstatement of the financial statement is intentional or unintentional. Is intentional or unintentional. Okay, that is the key distinct factor between the two, the fraud and the error. Okay. The term error, okay, refers to an intentional misstatement in financial statement, an intentional misstatement in the financial statement, including omission of an amount or a disclosure, okay, including the omission of amount or the disclosure, okay, that we refer to simply as the error. The term fraud, okay, okay, refers to an intentional act by one or more individuals among the management, those charged governance, the employees, or third parties involving the use of deception, okay, to obtain unjust or illegal advantage, okay, to obtain unjust or illegal advantage, okay. Intentional misstatement or acts, okay, by one individual, can be employees, can be the management, can be the governance. Don't forget, which is done intentionally, okay, with the key objective of deceiving people, with the key objective of obtaining unfair or illegal advantage, okay. The key distinction between fraud and error, okay. I think in the past exam, I think you've seen the examiner asking you, distinguish between fraud and error. Make a distinction between what we mean by fraud and what we mean by error, okay. As I mentioned, the key distinct factor between the two is more towards what we mean by was it intentionally done, okay? The headline acts that result to that misstatement, was it intentional, okay? As I mentioned, quite hard for you as an author to tell the key difference, to understand, to drill down and know whether this was intentional or otherwise, okay? It's quite hard, okay? But of course, definitely, we see that it's quite easy to unearth in quotes, okay, what we mean by to unearth an error. But for fraud, don't forget, fraud is a bit hard, okay, because the perpetrator, of course, they want to hide as much as possible. Don't forget, the intention is to conceal. Okay? The intention of fraud is to conceal, okay, not to make known, okay, to hide as much as possible, okay. That's why it's quite hard for you as an author to be able to unearth fraud, okay. And of course, as mentioned, it's very hard if you have another fraud committed by the management. Why? Because they can be able to override the controls of the company. They can be able to override the controls of the company. Okay, if it is done in collusion. Okay, if it is done in collusion. Okay, if it's done in collusion between employees, then it becomes even harder. Okay, for you as an auditor to be able to discover, to assess as whether this fraud was, whether this misstatement was a fraud or a misstatement was done as a result of misstatement. Okay. Then of course, in case it involves small amounts, okay, don't get in case they're going to be the volumes is going to be small in size. Then of course that is been hard to discover. Okay, if it's done in small in size, okay, it is the frequency. Let's use the term the frequency. Okay, is not that high. Okay, then of course if the misstatement or that fraud, okay, might include escape your net. Okay, because it's quite small. Okay, is the frequency, okay, is not that high. Okay. When you see that generally, in case the fraud is, it's a bit easier, okay, for you as an auditor to discover fraud done by the employee compared to one done by the management. Okay, what we call employee fraud. Okay, in quote is a bit easier. Okay, not easy, but it's a bit easier. Okay, compared to the fraud that can be done by the management. Okay, fraud that can be done by the management. Okay. Of course, for the management, okay, conventionally, okay, they are the one who can be involved in the fraudulent financial reporting. Okay, they are the one who can be most involved in the fraudulent financial reporting. Okay, for the employee, they can be involved more towards what we call asset misappropriation. They get involved in what we call asset misappropriation. Okay, asset misuse. Okay, the asset misappropriation, including embezzlement of receipts of the company, stealing of the company physical assets. Okay, so all these are done mostly by the employee. Okay, even the manager can also be involved, but conventionally it is going to be the manager of the company that are going to be involved in the misuse of the assets. The employees are going to be involved in the misuse of the assets. Okay, that's much was I think fraud and okay as per ISO 240. Okay, on what are your responsibility as an auditor in relation to fraud in an audit of financial statement. Okay, in the audit of financial statement. Okay, also your responsibility, because if I can have a case, I think in the past paper, what is your responsibility, okay, in relation to fraud as per the requirement of ISO 240, okay, what is your responsibility as an auditor in relation to fraud as per the requirement of ISO 240, okay. I don't know, if you check in your past paper, this was one question that have been asked in the past, okay. As per the requirement of ISO 240, okay, the auditor's responsibility to consider fraud in an audit of financial statement. What are the auditor's objectives? Okay. Because the first one, of course, is to perform procedures to obtain information that is used to identify the risk of material misstatement due to fraud. Okay, so the first step, okay, or the first responsibility you have as an auditor, okay, first is perform substantive audit procedure, okay, that are meant to obtain information, okay, obtain information to identify the risk of financial statement misstatement, okay, caused by fraud. It's about obtaining information, okay. And of course, two is identify and assess the risk of material misstatement due to fraud. Okay, identify and assess the risk of material misstatement. Okay, due to fraud. Okay, and I think I mentioned. Now this is our key step here: the risk assessment. Okay, which I think we're going to discuss. Okay, the client risk assessment. Okay, and of course that includes the control risk. Okay, that includes inherent risk. Okay. That include also on the side of detection risk. Okay, perform, identify, and assess the risk of material misstatement due to fraud. Okay, at the financial statement level and the assertion level. Okay, so this is going to be next responsibility. First was to get information. Second, perform procedures. Okay, or rather identify and assess the risk of material misstatement of the entity. In short, you quantify the control risk of the client, you quantify the inherent risk of the client, and of course, we quantify also the detection risk. You balance the equation, okay, by your detection risk, okay, element. Okay. After that, what do you do? You make a response. Okay, you need to determine the overall response to address that risk. Okay, and this is the bit of the detection risk. Okay, if the client is from number 2, okay, you have just identified that this client has high risk, okay, they have high control risk and they have high inherent risk. then of course you need to balance the equation, okay, by reducing your detection risk, okay. And how do you reduce? How do you respond to that? Okay, but of course, increasing, for example, the procedure. Okay, by carrying out, for example, a full substantive audit, a full substantive audit procedures. Okay, a full substantive audit procedures. Okay. Okay, what else do you do? Maybe the other thing is to once you have, if for example, okay, you have been able to identify, okay, more or less to the best time to use here. If, for example, okay, those risks you have identified, okay, those misstatements that you may have identified, okay, if they are caused by fraud, okay, if those misstatements are caused by fraud, then you may want to consider, okay, do I need to communicate this to those child governance, okay? Do I need to communicate this to those governance, okay? It's a matter of judgment, okay? If, for example, you have discovered, okay, a misstatement, and this misstatement was not as a result of an error, okay, you make a judgment that this misstatement was intentionally done, okay, then you may want to see, okay, should if it is material, then you may want to consider that communicating this to those child governors, it is your responsibility, okay, to communicate those misstatements, okay, that have been caused by fraud, okay. For fraud, it's well enough you communicate to those child governors, okay. Don't forget, okay, as we mentioned in ISA 580, okay, written representation, okay. You may want to ask the management, have you discovered any fraud along the way? Okay, have you discovered any fraud along the way? Okay, so of course you in short, even before because it's going to be done at the point of giving the report, okay, the written representation done way at the point of making the report, okay. However, you may want to inform the management, okay, that hey, okay, I will expect you that you do need to give me a report, okay, on your fraud that I may have come here. By now, okay, I'm already telling you some of the fraud I've discovered, okay, even before we come to the EID, okay. So therefore, at the point of EID, I will be expecting more reports regarding the misstatement that are caused, the fraud, misstatement as a result of fraud in your financial statement. In quote, you have like sort of put the management into two, okay. That you do know there's fraud, and of course, by the end of the engagement, you will be inquiring. By the end of the audit, you'll be inquiring reports regarding the fraud they may have discovered along the way. Okay? And that's your responsibility. Okay, that is your responsibility as an auditor. Okay, of course, the first thing as mentioned. Okay, of course, maybe the first step is you need to obtain information. Next, you assess the risk of material misstatement. Okay, next is the response. Okay. If the risk is high, what do? You're going to you're going to carry out a full substantive procedure. If the risk is low, then of course you carry out a restrictive substantive procedures. Okay. Then communication with those child governance. Okay. Communication with those child governance regarding, okay, those misstatements that are caused by fraud. Okay. The next thing, obtain written representations. Okay. I think you mentioned that in ISA 580. Okay. Then of course, the last thing is to communicate with those child governance. Okay. Communicate with those child with governance. Okay. That's as per the requirement of ISA 240. Maybe just before we get out of it, okay, what we refer to as the fraud triangle, okay, the fraud triangle, okay. Generally, we see that when the fraud is going to occur, there are three what can we call them? Three things that must exist, okay, like sort of some precondition, okay, in quote, okay, that must exist, okay. What we summarize as the fraud triangle. What we summarize as the fraud triangle. Now, what are these three things? Just take from here. Quinta. Quinta.
Yes.
What are the elements of the fraud triangle? What we refer to as actually we can refer them as fraud risk factors. The whole factor as fraud risk factors.
Incentive.
We have caused a bit of incentive.
Opportunity.
We have opportunity.
And justification.
And of course, we have the element of justification. We have the element of justification. Okay, those are the three elements. Okay, or referred as a fraud risk factor. Okay, or the element of the fraud triangle. Okay, the incentive, we have opportunity, as well as we have justification. Okay, I hope all of them they are quite clear to all of you. Okay, by the time the fraud occur, most of the time, okay, those three things will exist: incentive, justification, as well as on the opportunity. Okay. Question? Okay, then I think we can say that we can summarize that to be our ISA 240, the requirement of the ISA 240. Okay, if there's no question, then I guess we can end the class there. I presuppose that in the next 2 or 3 classes we should be done. Okay, let's see how far we can go. Okay, then fair enough. Let's call it a day. We meet next week. If there's no question, that is. Okay, enjoy your day then.